Hey friends, my name's Lisa. If we haven't met, if we have, welcome back to my pottery studio. I am very glad you're here today. If you've been following along, you're probably starting to think that I never actually get any pots done. At least that's how I'm feeling. I feel like I have a ton of different projects going, but nothing is actually getting complete. So my goal today, and in this video, is to get my big kiln filled with a glazed kiln, with a glazed load, and actually have some stuff to show you at the end of the video. But what that means is I have a bunch of glazing that I still need to get done. And I've started working on that this morning. So I'm beginning with some mugs and some bowls that I wanted to do some decal designs on. I've already started applying decals to a bunch of things. And then I'm starting to play with like doing some overlap. So what I'm thinking about for this bowl is to do kind of a pine cone design on the inside, but I want to overlap some of my pine cone decals. So I've done a few videos at this point, I think, showing my decal kind of process. I like to do all my surface design at the Bisque stage, mainly because just with lifestyle and stuff, and pottery is not my full-time job. I do have a full-time job, so this is kind of what I do for fun in the fringe hours. And oftentimes I just find that, I can let Bisqueware sit on the shelf for years and years if I wanted to, and I can still come in and do some decorative, work with it. But decorating or doing surface design at like the greenware stage, you have to plan, you have to know you're going to have the time to do that, and you can't let it get too dry. And there's a lot of things around that make it more difficult for me. So I like not having the stress of having to decorate something while it's wet or keep it wet until I have a chance to decorate it. So that's why I do this. So I use a die cutting machine. I don't have a Cricut. I have something called a Silhouette Cameo, but it's basically the same thing. It basically allows you to cut out these stencils on this vinyl sticker. Then you can create these designs on your pieces very consistently. And I don't really consider myself an artist in the aspects of like drawing and stuff like that. So I can use some online tools to help me create images for whatever I want. In this case, we're doing some pine cones on the inside of this bowl. I also found, a picture of a bear that I was able to kind of trace and outline to create a bear image. And then I also found some paw prints, bear prints, that I'm going to test out with just a little wax resist on the back here. I think this is going to be a cute design. But anyway, I'm able to utilize some technology to help create interesting designs. You use transfer tape to basically move the stencil from the sticker onto your pot, particularly when you have a ton of little pieces and it's not all one connected sticker, if that makes sense. So I found this, which is kind of like a masking tape, and I think it is the best transfer tape that's out there. The kinds that you buy in the store, like Hobby Lobby and stuff, I don't really care for those as much. They're more plasticky and they don't like bend around and form around to a pot quite as well. So I like this kind of masking tape one. I will link it in the description below. I've only found it on Amazon, so I'm sure I think that's going to be kind of cute. I'll have these two kind of nestled together, and then this little pine cone maybe off to the... So what you do with the transfer tape is you put it on your vinyl sticker, right, just like that, and then you peel the backing of your vinyl sticker off. Now, if I didn't have this transfer tape on here, this would be like very flimsy and floppy. It's almost like trying to manage saran wrap, So transfer tape allows you to lay it out, lay it down just where you want it. Much, much, much easier than if you just tried to peel that sticker off. See, and then once you have your sticker on there, you can just take this and peel it back like that. Also, regardless of if you're going to wax resist or if you're going to put glaze on the inside of these stencils, it helps tremendously to take a hairdryer and just go over the stencil, because it'll make sure that that stickiness really adheres down to your piece, and that either the wax or underglaze or glaze or whatever you're going to use doesn't seep under that sticker. So I always hit it with my hairdryer on a hot heat setting, and then just kind of push it in there, push it down a little bit more. The other thing giving me good glaze motivation today is that tomorrow I get to take pieces up to the wood kiln. I mentioned this in a previous video, but I have my first opportunity ever to participate in a wood fire, and it kind of came along by happenstance. I've never met these potters before, but it's only about an hour away from where I live, and it's in a beautiful part of Colorado too, so going up there is going to be quite nice. but I need pieces to take up there to put in. So tomorrow we're supposed to bring up everything that we want to load into the kiln. And then next, it's coming Friday, today's Saturday. So Friday of this next week, I have my volunteer hours to sit and stoke the kiln. I am super excited to see how all this goes down. I am just way jazzed. See, I want to overlap you and you maybe. So I'm kind of cutting out, I want these two pine cones to kind of overlap. So I'm just sort of cutting out from behind this one so that the image of the one underneath doesn't come through. Thinking about it, and I have some good Canadian friends, and I feel like I should make them a maple leaf bowl. Shoot, I've got some bowls over there still. Maybe I'll run upstairs and make a maple leaf design today too, and try to sneak that in the kiln. But I'm also going to hit it with my hairdryer here real quick. All right, well, I'm going to leave it a mystery. At the end of this video, we'll see if I get a maple leaf bowl or design or mug or something done. So stay tuned. So what I think I've decided for one of my pine cone bowls is, remember this glaze test I did a couple videos back? And I was actually hoping to get more of a, like a, I don't know, more of a, like an off-white or kind of a beigey tan color. And it actually came out this really pretty, it's kind of a robin's egg blue. Well, I still have that 10 or 100 gram batch. And I think I'm going to use that for these pine cones because I think it's going to be a really cool color. And then I'm just going to do a clear glaze on the top. And then I think on the bottom, I'm going to do maybe like this light yellow. I call it bee's knees. But one of the things that might be helpful for you to know, if you have a liquid glaze that you've got one way or another, if it's more of a dipping glaze, consistency wise, obviously that's not that much fun to brush on. If you've tried, you know. What you can do to take a little bit of a dipping glaze and make it into a brushing glaze is by adding some gum. So I think this is considered CMC gum. And this is from Amico. It just has gum solution on it. It kind of almost looks like maybe a dish soap kind of thing. But I've done this in the past and it works quite well to make a regular glaze into a brushing glaze. So this one you can kind of see is like, it's very liquidy, you know, it's very kind of watery, what you'd want if you're going to dip, right? Or pour. This is what you'd be after. But I want to brush. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to start with maybe a half a tablespoon to a tablespoon for this 100 grams. I mean, it's not 100 grams total, but it's 100 gram dry batch weight. So it's probably like 180 grams of liquid at this point. And where's my brush? I had a brush. And then you just kind of, oh God, I got those cool. Got those cool. Ah, yes, yes, yes. My little fun stirrers that I picked up at Sika. It's kind of fun. And then you can kind of get a sense for if that's probably going to be sufficient. I think I'm going to go with another, put that over there. I'm going to go with another half a tablespoon or so. I don't know if this gum expires. I've had it for a long time. I've also got some CMC powder, but what I understand is you don't want to mix CMC powder into a glaze. You want to make it a solution first. I haven't really learned how you make it a solution first, so I'm guessing you just add some water to it, but I'm going to do a little research on that. All right, and now you can kind of see it starting to thicken. I'm pretty sure you can add just about as much as you want for the consistency that you're trying to get. I just want it to be slightly more brushable. I don't have a large area because I'm just going to do it on these like pine cones. But if you were going to, significant, but you can kind of, I don't know if you can kind of tell on the camera, but it's definitely less liquidy. See how it just makes it a little bit nicer. Now that I've glazed my pine cones, I've started peeling back. And some people ask, I mean, obviously what I'm doing right now is using the sticker itself as a wax resist to get this image. And if I can opt to not do that, I will just use the sticker to create the design and then use a wax resist on top of it. And you'll see why, because what happens is a lot of that glaze will flake off as you peel off the sticker. So if I can use wax resist as the resist, I will. But in this scenario, the only way to do it would be to, I felt like in the best way, this would be to use the sticker as the resist. And it does work. It is just that it gets a little bit messier. Okay, for the second pine cone platter, I'm just using the sticker, the decal, so that I can create the resist, because I just want the pine cones to be the raw clay. And I'm gonna do a nice vibrant, I think like teal green color in the bowl. And so I use the sticker as a resist for the resist, if that makes sense. So once this wax dries, then I'll peel off the sticker and glaze around the pine cones. Okay, we are moving and grooving here. I've got one piece in the kiln already. I've got two pieces over here that I want to put the same glaze on. One I want to brush, and one I think I'll pour the inside, because I have a lot of glaze to do that. So like I said before, I have all these glazes that I've formulated. I keep them in big containers. I think this is like a gallon container. And then if I want to make some of it up for brushing, again, I just use some of that CMC gum. So I put about a tablespoon in the bottom of this. So I'm going to get this nice and shook up, mixed up, and then pour, you know, maybe about half a container. That should be all I need for what I want to brush. But then I can just keep that in the cabinet. And next time I want to brush this glaze on something, another piece, I have that started. We're looking pretty good. So let's see if we can do this. Want to make sure it's well stirred before you transfer. All right, I'm just going to set this over here for now. Now the exciting part is going to be if I can pour this without getting it all over, dumping it all over my counter and floor. That would be less than ideal. So what I do, I get a bigger container, empty it out, and kind of just make sure it's clean. So when I pour the glaze into this piece, and what it is this larger kind of dog bowl. It's a water bowl for my dog. I threw this forever ago. You might have seen the video on it, which was like last year sometime, I think. I don't know. Anyway, I'm going to pour the glaze in here and rotate it around. But then when I pour it out, I can't easily pour it back into this container. So that's usually when I get glaze all over. So I'm not going to try to do that. I'll just pour it back in here. And then from here, I can get it back into this container. It just takes a little bit of the stress out of, you know, not having the glaze sit on the pot for too long and being able to clear it out. So, oh, the other thing I'm doing, I don't want to forget, but I want to put little test pieces of all of these glazes into the wood fire. These pieces are going to go in my electric kiln, but I want to just see what these glazes would look like in that atmospheric firing. So I'm just going to put a bunch of little test tiles in the wood kiln this week. Trying to remember to dip a tile. All right, I'll set this over here. That might be more than I should have done. All right, so now, Ah, almost barely made it. Almost barely. So do I have a brush? I just drizzle a little bit more on there like that. That might do. I actually probably should have poured less in and rotated it around more, but I think it's going to be fine. I think it's going to be fine. And now the reason I do the outside second is because that'll always, like, inevitably, it'll always splatter. And so I can just come through with my wet sponge, wipe this off, and then the outside of this, I'll either brush or pour. Oh yeah, look at that. I got it all over the side. It's not a big deal. I'm just going to wash it off, and then I'll give this piece a lot of time to dry before I put the glaze on the outside. I think it's really smart artists that have like collections of things and they glaze kind of everything the same way. But I like to try too many different things, and so it's not very efficient that way. But if I come up with a combination I like out of this kiln, then maybe I'll do a batch of all similar things, and then I can glaze really quick. I'm thinking that I've got this little other small bowl here. It might be really pretty. Do this green as well, so I'm going to give that a go. And we're going to shoot for doing it more gracefully this time. So I'm just going to take it out of here and pour it in here. And I'm only going to go halfway this time. That's feels a bit safer. Okay. And then try and rotate this one around all the way a little bit better. This shape is definitely easier as well. And then very gracefully try. Ah! Anywhere that there's big drips, I'll go over with a little rib and smooth it out before, after the glaze dries. I'll go over it with a metal rib. Well, it comes down to a lack of practice. I'm definitely not practiced right now. I saw at the conference those like pump things where you can hold the bowl like this and then you pump with your foot and it like sprays the glaze up in the bottom. If you're a production bowl maker, I don't know, I think it'd be kind of fun. I think you can make them too. I might make that a project sometime to try to make one of those pump spraying glaze things. But that'd be more for fun. Okay, I think that's all I'm gonna do with this color. Do not forget to label your new brushing version, because can't tell you how many times I've done that and then I don't know what the glaze is in the cup. We got it. We didn't forget. It kind of looks a little gross for a bit. You just keep stirring. Just keep stirring. Okay, then I'll usually let it dry a little bit and try to go for 2, maybe 3 coats, kind of depends on your glaze. 3 is kind of, I think I found the safe spot for most of my glazes. I also like to take my sponge and just kind of dab on those like pine cones. And it sort of breaks the tension where the glaze might be kind of hovering over that resisted part. See how there's like a little bit of glaze kind of just hanging out? Just kind of tap it with a wet sponge. Like right there, do you see it pull away? And then you can see that green wax resist come through. Here, we'll do it over here too. See how there's some glaze hanging out right there? And I do that in between each coat because you want to do it while that glaze is still wet. And it's still wet because it can't really absorb into the clay body because of the wax. But if it sort of dries over, it has like some surface tension to it. If it dries over, then that glaze will show up. So there you go. All right, we're on 2, right? That was 2. Let's do one more. I love this brush and I only have one, so I think I'm gonna go into the Amazon and see if I can find another one. If I find it, I'll link it below. It's just a great brush. It's the right size. It holds the right amount of glaze. I'll also link the gum solution that I use. That was 3, right? Yeah, that was 3. Did I get a lid for this? All right. And before I set this to the side to dry up before I glaze the outside, I'm just gonna come over and clean up that rim. Get any glaze off there, and that makes sure I'll have a nice clean line from the inside to the outside. Okay, here's where I'm at. It's the end of the day, Saturday, and I made some really good progress. Most importantly, I got the things glazed that I want to take up to the wood fire tomorrow, which I think is tomorrow afternoon. I didn't get everything glazed that I want to go into my kiln, but I think I'll have plenty of time in the morning, so I'm going to come back in the morning, glaze a few more pieces. This was like the most inefficient glazing ever. I mean, I was just like, I wanted to use every glaze, do something different on every piece. Just getting everything out, stirring everything up, dipping. Anyway, it's kind of a mess, but that's what glaze day is about. So tomorrow morning, I'm going to come down, finish up the last glazing that I want to do, get the pieces packed up to take up to the wood kiln, and maybe get the kiln loaded. So I'm going to go have some dinner and rest for the evening, and we'll be back at it tomorrow. Okay, hey friends, the next day, I dilly-dallied this morning a little bit more than I realized I had, and I only gave myself about an hour and a half to wrap some things up and get ready to go up to take my pieces up to the wood fire. So I wanted to finish up some other glazing too, but first things first, I'm gonna get the pieces that I want to take packaged up and ready, just so I have that ready to go, and then I can just pause wherever I'm at and the rest of my glazing today when it's time to go. So I found a box upstairs that I think is going to be big enough for the pieces, and I just need to take out what's inside of it. I bought more filament for my 3D printer. I can't wait to share more with you about my new 3D printing obsession, but I'll put you over there. Whew. Pull these out of the depths of the dungeon over there. Okay, so I've got 3, maybe 4 larger platters and bowls that I want to glaze the outside of, and I want to glaze them all the same way, or all with the same glaze, which is just with a basic matte white glaze. Now, if I only had one, I would maybe brush it, but since I've got several, it's worth doing this little setup that I'm about to show you to pour. So what you want is a big kind of basin thing. You can usually find these at the craft stores or your Walmart or Myers or whatever you have around summertime. If you don't have one of those options, also go to like a horse ranch and feed store, and they've got good wide things like this as well. So then I use a variety of different things. I put my banding wheel right on the inside, and sometimes I'll use a cup like this. Sometimes I just want to elevate pieces with maybe one of these cups or one of these cups. So it kind of depends on what we're working with. Let me get my glaze stirred. We used this yesterday, so should be pretty good to go, but I get it stirred up and then I pour it into a better container for pouring, or easier container for pouring. So this is that pine cone platter, one of the pine cone platters. I might put it on here. I'm also going to get a rag, a clean-ish rag, because I don't want the edge of that to like scratch, you know, the inside glaze. And then hopefully, sometimes it gets too wide and then glaze is going everywhere, but I think we're going to be okay. We'll see. Doing this one first because it might make the biggest mess. Then it's more of like a mixing cup, something that's a little bit easier to pour out of. The trick I found is you really want to try to get it all in one revolution. Like you really want to try and pour as much as you can. You don't want to have to spin it twice, if that makes sense. So I'm going to do a very thick, I'll put my hand down here, a very thick pour like this. Ooh, I've got one spot there. See, and I had to go around twice because I missed a spot. But what happens is you get more of those like drips. And while it's still wet, we'll just... Next one we're going to do that same thing. Put a little bit more glaze in my mixing cup. I'm going to do this one, and I don't really want this to get more on it, so we'll risk it on this one. We'll be very delicate. Glazes are annoying, but you always have to keep stirring them, no matter what. Again, better to do a slower revolution. Bigger drip of glaze. Now it's just time to clean up, and you'll be relieved to know that none of this glaze goes to waste. You do just want to make sure your banding wheel is clean, I guess, and make sure the bucket that you're pouring into is clean. Then I will just take all this glaze, stir it up, and pour it right back into my container. So, all right, I'm gonna clean up, I'm gonna eat, and we'll go explore the wood kiln. I don't know if I'll be able to video any of that, but my plan is to load the kiln when I get home or first thing in the morning and fire tomorrow. I may or may not record any of that just because, I don't know, it might be early in the morning and I want to get it done before I start working for the day so it can be firing while I work. And then we will come back and we will unload the kiln together. We'll see how things came out, and I'm excited to show you. So we'll be back. Okay, friends, today we get to unload the kiln. I had a great time taking my stuff up to the wood fire. I got a few photos. Hopefully I'm going to go back for my shift to like help stoke it and stuff like that on Friday. And then I think it's another full week before they actually unload it. So I'll try to get more video and stuff then. But this appeared to have fired last night just fine. 200 degrees. Plenty cool. Plenty cool enough. Oh, ooh. Loving this so far. Pretty good. Oh, I love the little, I love the little pine cone on the bottom. I'm glad I did that. We have bumblebee mug and monarch. Oh, little bear. I love these little paw prints. Oh. Yep. Yep. Oh, it's such a simple bowl, but it's just such a lovely matte color. I'm gonna unload the rest of this and then I'll give you a good pan over on the island to show you everything. Okay, so I'll do a quick recap of what came out of the kiln, what worked, what didn't work. For the most part, everything kind of came out as expected, no real flaws, but there's just some combinations that I was kind of testing and I like some of them more than others. But a couple good old standbys, you know, these designs always work really well for me. So this is my bee's knees yellow glaze on the inside and my bumblebee decal on the outside. It's more of like a Central Perk, like old school Friends kind of coffee mug shape. I also have my monarch, which I showed you, similar kind of larger style coffee mug, a little bit of glaze crawling around the handle, and that happened worse on one of them, but it's not all that bad. I wouldn't consider this flawed necessarily, but did occur. This guy I showed you, super cute little kind of basic diner style mug with the paw prints. I love the bear. I tried another elk. You see, I've tried this a couple times in the past. Just not really sure I love this decal. I think I'm having some trouble with it, with kind of the coloring. I don't know. I'll take a better beauty shot of it and I'll post it on Instagram and you guys can share with me what you think. But I did it. I did do a maple leaf and I'm loving it. I think it's really great. It's the same technique I've done, you know, with the other stencils, but I did like a gray underglaze instead of black. And I think that came out quite lovely, and did the yellow on the inside. I will try to, all my favorites, I will get beauty shots of and try to post them on Instagram over the next few days or weeks. So you can see, of course, I love these pine cone platters. This one, it's just one of my favorite green glazes, and I think it came out quite lovely. Let me know what you think of the design. I absolutely, though, this is a color combination that was kind of a test, and it's subtle because it's the yellow on the outside, but it's that new, I'm gonna call it like a robin's egg blue matte glaze, and it's very subtle, but I just think it's lovely. And if you see it from the side and you get both the yellow and the green, I don't know. I think it's a great combination. This is just a clear glaze on the inside. Little deer mug. The moose mug, this is a very old, I threw this probably 10 years ago, I think. It's an old stoneware clay body. And so you can just kind of see these are the same glazes, but they come out, this is a lot more rustic, I think. And it comes out a bit drier. It's a little bit juicier on my porcelain. So Just kind of a funny thing about glazes. Purple matte donkey mug. This is for a friend of mine, special request. I have another dragonfly mug, and this is the only one that I would say had a flaw with the glaze, and it crawled right around the handle here. And I've really never had that happen much, maybe like a tiny amount, but this is more than I normally get. So I'm not exactly sure. Didn't do it on the other ones terribly bad, but I may try to refire this. So I think it'd be worth refiring because the dragonfly is absolutely perfect. So I think it needs another chance. I showed you this bowl, very basic, but I'm loving this glaze. So I'm going to mix up some more of it and just start playing with it on other forms because I'm really kind of falling in love with it. And it was a happy accident, which those are always the best. I made a couple of these cute little like flower flower pots. So it's just kind of a little tiny pot that you can put flowers in the top, and the top will hold them in place. My Hawaii mug, I call it a Hawaii mug. It's more of like an espresso mug. I like the design. I like the underglaze combination, but I think I would do this again. I would do the green glaze on the inside and do like a matte white on the outside. I was kind of testing. I know that's kind of like my standard, like what works for me. So I was trying to branch out and put a little bit more color on the outside. I just like the look of the matte white out and a clear, glossy colored glaze on the inside. I guess that's just my thing. It's what aesthetically appeals to me. Then I've got all these super cute little salt and pepper shakers. I made these on a video quite a while back and they've been sitting on my shelf. I'm super excited to get little corks in these and some salt and pepper and put them on the kitchen table, test them out. And then let's see, I made a butterbell. This is another combination I hadn't done before. I kind of thought the yellow and the pink would look really nice together. I don't like it. I think there's not a lot of contrast between the two. You know, like I feel like it needs to be like one darker color, one lighter color, and these are too similar in color, but they are beautiful. But otherwise it came out quite nice. Just a lovely, lovely oversized butterbell or French butter dish, however you call it. And then you saw my little, which reminds me, if you're enjoying this video, you wanted to give me a like and subscribe. I'd really appreciate it. Let's see, the last two pieces over here. Well, I have 3 sets of my salt and pepper shakers and then last 2 pieces. So this is another mug. I really just don't like this design. I think that's just what it's coming down to. I just don't like this kind of chrysanthemum decal. I've tried it a few times. It is similar to the one that's on top of the butterbell. Yeah, I think I'm gonna let this one go. I just don't love it. Water bowl for my doggo. Came out quite nice. This is one of the details I think I showed you. I take a lot of time and I missed it on this one. I got a little bit of the green glaze on the outside and it's those little things that drive me crazy, but it's gonna look perfectly good on our floor. And our dog's gonna love it. So anyway, guys, that is my haul. I hope you enjoyed this video. It was really great spending time with you. I am looking forward to the next video. Hopefully I'll be sharing my woodfire experience, although that might be a couple weeks out because I think maybe we'll want to see how the pots that I put in there came out. So, but anyway, stay tuned for some more fun content and I look forward to seeing you on the next one. All right, take care, guys. Bye.